They're doing a good job, right? I mean, they're moving into high tech. They're not moving into it. They're high tech. And they're not way behind. They're not like in the 80s when the war was going on. If you'd be, it was smoky and dingy and you couldn't buy nothing. I wanted to use Iranian toothpaste. You couldn't get none because it was too busy. Everything was imported. They had Pepsi Colas coming from across the, what's the name? You know, Iran cola tasted so flat that I used to laugh at it. It used to taste like Inca Cola. Y'all wouldn't know this. They got an Inca Cola in the market now. I don't know what it is, but they had an Inca Cola over 50 years ago down in Inca Cola in Peru. It was the worst tasting, flattest, and that's why I said Iran's Coke in '89 tasted like Inca Cola. But now they got it going on. They was at a war. They didn't have time for all of that. I'm telling you, okay, but they came through. Now, our position is a position that's been developing all along. We didn't just get here, we've been here all the time. We've been here all the time because you got to remember, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui knew it, the Iranians knew it, all of them was here, and everybody knew it that was kind of global in thinking, right? They knew, number one, a Negro leave here, he goes to Europe or hang out there, but he goes to Algeria, he goes over to Egypt, he goes to Sudan, and down to where Idi Amin was, he's taking over. I was at the airport when Idi Amin was taking over. In Entebbe, I saw all these guys, these big muskets. So I said, well, that's what they do down here in Africa, in Black Africa. And when I got next door to Tanzania, that's where I was going. The president there, Milton Obote, he was over in Uganda, he was there, runoff. And Idi Amin was liked by everybody except white folks. Boy, white folks hated him. They said he had white, and then, you know how they did him. He big old black nigga, black, dark-skinned brother. He says, and he used to be part of the Scottish Rifles, a sergeant in the white man's colonial army. Boy, if we make you the chief over here, you do right. Yes, sir. I do. Yes, sir, I do right. I do just like whatever you say, I'll do it. 2 years later, white folks was carrying him on them sedan chairs they used to carry the king on. And he run everybody off. Now, see, they talk about him here, but Idi Amin did everything that everybody else in Africa wished they could do. But he had the nerve to do it. He run all the engines off. And the Indians, you know, I did Malcolm X programs with children. They invited me to Canada. The children their parents were from Uganda. They were in Canada. You go see, I remember one of my friends, his daughter, they had a Malcolm X shirt. I would go there to speak on Malcolm X. The people that was inviting me there was the children of the Ugandan refugees that was kicked out. And I would ask them what was happening. He said, if we'd have known better, we would have never left. Because see, they come over there and they now revolutionaries. Now, most of their friends not revolutionary. Most of their friends still dreaming of the old days when they was in Uganda. Let me get to the point, because this is just the introduction. In Afghanistan, we'll go back to that. when they let the Taliban come into Afghanistan with all new weapons and stuff, and the 90s, early 90s, and all of that. Okay, that was a plan because friends of mine like Hikmatyar and all that, Gulbuddin Hikmatyar and all of them, real Islamic movement people. But like one of my friends is African American, is over in Iran. He would visit all those guys. He would visit in Iran. In fact, he made a movie over there called Kandahar. You know, the brother he's from here, he's from D.C., that they say he killed a postman. I mean, dressed up as a postman and killed an Iranian general in 1980. I don't believe it, but that's what they said. And then they zipped him on out of the country. He's been over there ever since. I don't want to get off the subject, but last time I saw him, the other times I saw him, he was fired up, full of energy. The last time I saw him, he weighed 400 pounds at least. And anyway, long story. Now, let's get back to the Taliban in those days. In those days, they were anti-Shias, they were anti-everybody, and they were killing Shias. They killed 12 people in Mazar, Iranian diplomats in Mazar Sharif. Must have been in 98 or 99, something like that. Do you remember that? They killed 12. See if you can pull it up. Mazar Sharif, 12 Iranian diplomats killed in the 90s. But anyway, they killed them, and they were always anti-Shia. They've been killing Shias. This last thing was killing Shias. Before, they've been killing Shias all along. Okay, several Shia Masjid. Okay, that's one of the Taliban's thing. But the Taliban, as we said, was left behind with all brand new weapons, right? With all brand new weapons. And the U.S. left them there for a purpose. And the U.S. left in a hurry on purpose. That was part of their plan. Because if it was an orderly withdrawal, then they couldn't do all the other dumb stuff that they did. We don't believe that it was dumb, but it wasn't dumb to them. We're going to leave. We're going to look like we done just messed up, and we're going to leave all this stuff behind. And we're not going to give them any money. So the only way they can get any money is start robbing everybody, right? Okay, now we got them in a region. And if you look at the map, when you look at the map, I just happened to have bought one with me. It's a long story. This is that whole area. This is China. All of this is China. What is it? All of that is Russia. 8 time zones, right? Here's Saudi Arabia here. Here's India here, right? This is Iran. This big country right here is Iran. Right next to it is Iraq. Right next to it is Syria, right? And right next to that is Lebanon. You can't see it on this, but yeah, right here. Yemen is down here. This is Yemen down here. All right. Now, so when we talk, you'll have pictures of where we're talking about. Because all of these places are close together. This is Iran. This is Afghanistan. This is Pakistan. They're all right there together. All right. Now, let's think about right now. If you think about Iran, you right at Iran, next door is Iraq. Okay, you keep going a little bit further, you hit Syria. Right? Lebanon used to be a part of Syria before the French, World War One. Sykes-Picot, they just cut off these. Hey, you be Lebanon instead of Syria. Okay, so you have those places. Then down at the bottom, over a little bit, you have Yemen. Okay, now Iran is managing all of that. If you notice, Iran has sent shipments. Iran is doing a good job with Lebanon. Iran is doing a good job with Palestine. Iran is doing a good job with Palestine. In fact, Iran is doing basically a good job. Okay, I'll get to this satellite television and all that in a little while. But someone has to tell the Iranian people how well they're doing so they won't fall victim to propaganda. So we're saying right now, we're going to start our own Voice of America, not Voice of America. Call it for Voice of Islam or something like that. But it will be advertisement, the same type of advertisement as the word propaganda. We'll mix that up there in there. Propaganda. Yeah, but remember, so we got all of those people, they're doing a good job. It looks like they're going to hold on. So Iraq is fine. Not fine, they have an election today. Iran is fine. Iraq, Syria, Yemen, all of them need to be rebuilt. Right? Our suggestion is rebuild them. 21st century building. Right? With all, whatever, sun panels, they got a lot of sun over there, whatever, right? Rebuild them. Use that. Use everything that the people have done. You got to remember, the Zionists always, they're at the root of all of this. Iraq was there with a big army. He done fought Iran. There's 4 million people in his army, or something like that. So when the war with Iran and Iraq is over, Saddam is left with that big army. So they say he's been a good tool, but we got to get that army back. That's why the U.S. went over there in 91. Because they left him there with that big army. 8 years of fighting, they didn't develop a certain amount of discipline. And if you take Iraq on this part and you take Syria on that part, that's a lot of Arabs with a lot of fighting ability, right? So we got to get rid of that boy. That's who got rid of Saddam. He had his Arab stooges go to boss man and say, boss man, he's trying to take his money back from us and he's been a bad boy. Does anybody remember April Gillespie? The ambassador, that woman ambassador to Iraq. Saddam asked her, it was on the damn television. He's hitting like, I'm going to hit these people. They're talking about they want their money back. And all us and got killed for them bombs in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. She says, we have nothing to do with inter-Arab affairs. Isn't that the vocabulary she used? in an Arab affairs. Green light. They gave him the green light. Then they say, hey, we're going to do this. They didn't even believe, he didn't believe they was going to do nothing. And he come out there on the desert in the open with all them old raggedy tanks, and they just walked, they just did, it was unbelievable how they did it. Unbelievable.
I heard this recently. They were talking about how supposedly he called and said, don't invade us. Mm-hmm. Called Bush or somebody and said, don't invade us. And they did.
No, see, the Zionists you got to realize, the Zionists invaded, they messed up Saddam's atomic energy program in 1981. They just flew